Hi, I am so excited, grateful, thrilled, blessed, elated, and happy. Why? Because today is the premiere of my brand new podcast. This has been a long time in the making, and I've been thinking about and planning on doing this for so long. And today, is finally here. I'm Connie Hewitson, and welcome to my brand new podcast, The Connie Hewitson Show. I should have had some background noise for that one. I'm so excited to talk to you. First of all, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for allowing me into your life. As you're out for a walk or at work or running errands, driving, or you might just be sitting there listening to me. Thank you for your support. My mission for this podcast and every single episode is to bring inspiring stories and guests and valuable information to your life. Whether it be about dating and relationships, which is what Lady Hitch is about, or raising kids, being grandparents, or just about having fun and enjoying life. I'm committed to supporting you and hope you will support me as we both go after our dreams and make them a reality. As I said, this has been a long time in the making since my last radio show ended, and for one reason or another, it's taken this long to relaunch. For those of you who have followed me all of these years, thank you. For those of you who may be listening to me for the first time, thank you. And I hope you find me to be, in the very least, entertaining. I've done so many things in my life in terms of work, but being a dating coach, being Lady Hitch, has been my passion, especially after this very special date in 2018. I'll take you behind the scenes of my life, the relatable ups and downs, because it's been quite the ride. So, how is this going to work? Well, I'll be here once or twice a week. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out as we move forward. And with your support, I'm hoping for a long time. I wanted to premiere my podcast, my show, on this day, February 12th, because this day has great significance to me. And I'll go into that shortly. Before I get into the story about the Hubs, I'd like to give you a little background about my life. And I want to ask you to excuse the voice. I'm not a smoker, but I've been sick for the last few days and then just had to get this out today. So, a little bit about my life. I was an unmarried teen mom of 3 little babies. Yes, not married. Not something I'm proud of, but it's a fact, and so it is, right? I'll tell you more about that in future episodes. But here I was, a single teen mom of 3. My son was only 3 years old. My twin daughters were little babies. They were 1 month old. When I wished and I prayed and I hoped for a husband who would love me and take care of me with my 3 little ones. Take me in with my 3 little ones. And my prayers were answered. Fast forward 15 years. I spent 15 years married to him. I was married to a jealous, controlling, possessive, obsessive, narcissistic psycho. I'm not exaggerating and I'm not man bashing. I'm just stating a fact about the man I was married to. In that marriage, I was not allowed to do anything. He controlled everything about my life, from the clothes I wore to not being allowed to wear makeup or jewelry. I couldn't have friends, to the point where I couldn't even go outside of my own house without him being there to watch me. I was not allowed to have friends, as I said. I couldn't go anywhere without him. I couldn't talk to anyone, especially not on the phone, not to anyone, not even my own mom and my sister, without him secretly listening in on the other phone, just to make sure we weren't talking about him or plotting my escape. I couldn't do anything. So after 15 years, I divorced him and I moved on. After being single for 3 years, I married my new husband, and we were married for 8 years, just 8 years. However, after 4 years, I realized that I was the only one in that marriage. I went from one extreme to the other. One husband couldn't be without me. He couldn't even hold a job because he had to be with me 24/7, 365. The other husband couldn't care less where I was or who I was with. Then, in my third significant relationship, I was engaged to a man who I thought was the love of my life. He was somewhat older, sophisticated, classy, elegant, wealthy, and we had a wonderful relationship, and we were deeply in love. We really were. He told me he loved me with his soul, and I suppose for a time we were soulmates. All of that only to get dumped 2 months before our wedding. I was totally blindsided. I had no clue. He told me he didn't want the financial liability of another ex-wife. Clearly, soulmates come and soulmates go. So to recap, I've lived through and survived a 15-year marriage that nearly landed me in prison. I know, shameless plug, I couldn't help myself. An 8-year marriage where I was the only one in the marriage. And lastly, getting dumped just 2 months before my wedding. That actually also happened in February. I think it was right on February 11th of 2011, my dumping day. My former fiance had started a company for me while we were together, and I lived with him. We were going to get married. And all of that came to a screeching halt. Thankfully, I had a condo that my daughters had been living in, so I moved back there, kind of with my tail between my legs. But I didn't want to go back to managing hotels, so I decided to start an image and etiquette consulting business, focusing on singles. How did I get to that? Well, a lot of people that knew me, my orthodontist and just several other people, said that I was always so stylish and that I was so nice. And then I started helping people, styling them for events or for, whatever. So that's how I got into the image business. But I decided to focus on image and etiquette for singles. So I became a certified image and etiquette consultant and dating and relationship coach. And that's how I became Lady Hitch. In this episode, episode 1, my debut episode, I will tell you about how I manifested my husband and what it was like when I met him in person for the first time. I was single for 7 years. Sorry, that was my little doggy. I was single for 7 years, and I dated a lot. I actually went on 123 days in 30 days. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's possible. I lived it. My daughters witnessed it. I was going on 3 and 4 days every day. It was my job. I was on a mission to find out what makes men do the things that they do and why. When somebody tells you that they love you with their soul and then they dump you 2 months before your wedding, there has to be something there. Anyway, what I actually learned through my many, many dates is that that's not only men who do things like this, so do women. And during this 7-year period, I was one of them. For 7 long years, I was in love with my former fiance, who I will call John. Remember, he dumped me with no explanation other than he didn't want the financial blah, blah, blah. I was in love with him for 7 years, the whole time keeping my heart available for him should he ever come back. And he did come back for a couple of months, a few months after he dumped me, that same year in 2011. This time he said he didn't want the responsibility of a relationship. And I didn't want to be anybody's booty call, not even his. During those 7 years, I went on approximately 1,500 dates, give or take a few. I put myself on all the dating websites and was actually quite popular with the gentlemen. I was kind of cute back then. I was out on dates 4 to 7 nights a week. I did have a great time. I did go to a lot of very nice restaurants. And I did have one on-again, off-again relationship with someone who was actually a good man, but my heart just wasn't open to be in a relationship with anyone at that time. I'm sorry. If you're listening, I'm really sorry. I was happy to go on dates, but not be committed to one man. I suppose I didn't want the responsibility of a relationship at that point. Through my coaching with my clients, I found that many people carry all kinds of baggage. Well, through my coaching with my clients and through all of my dating experience, I found that people carry all kinds of baggage for years. And for 7 years, I was carrying a bag with no closure since my engagement ended so abruptly. Imagine walking around, ladies, imagine walking around with your purse and it keeps popping open and all the crap keeps flying out. That was my baggage. So, throughout the years, I stayed away from him, but I would text him occasionally, from time to time, just to remind him of my love for him. Occasionally, I would see him driving down the road, or I would see him pumping gas at the gas station, or, just driving. We lived near each other, so it was not uncommon for me to see him. I was not stalking him, I promise you. One day, while at a networking event in October of 2017, I walked in and I announced to my friends, "Hey girls, I'm getting married." They all knew of my active and extensive dating life, so they were happy, they were excited, they congratulated me. And one of them asked, "Who is he?" To that, my answer was, "Minor detail, I haven't met him yet." But February 11th, 2018, I was at a networking event, or at an event where there was a business coach who had us do manifesting exercises. He told us to write down 3 to 5 things that we really wanted. And I wrote, get my real estate license. I want to get married, but he has to be fun, funny, loving, kind, affectionate, supportive, successful, generous, sharp dresser, classy, elegant, rich, older, silver fox, blue eyes, and 6'3". Just 18 items. I did write a 3rd item down, but it's private and it's still pending. But 1 and 2 of those items already happened. They came true for me. That same night, February 11th, 2018, I was out on a date with a gentleman friend of mine, who I will call Gary. Gary and I walked into a restaurant. No, it's not a joke. It really happened. We walked into a restaurant and headed straight to the bar. I ran into another gentleman who I was friendly with, and we had dated through the years, just here and there. So I introduced the 2 of them, and it turned out that they actually knew each other from years ago. So Gary and I found our seats at the bar. As we walked towards the bar stools, I saw him. The love of my life. The man who I'd been waiting for 7 years. The man who dumped me. He was with a woman, of course, so Gary and I went and sat at the bar. It was Gary and me, another couple, and John and his fiancée. Later I learned. The other couple left after a while, so John's fiancée reached out and introduced herself to me. I was shocked. She was actually very nice, kind, and sweet, but like I said, I was shocked and surprised. I didn't think that he would have told her about me or who I was. Good thing I looked really good that night. You never know who you're going to run into, right, ladies? So always look your best. Gentlemen, too. So we spent quite a while together, chatting, the 4 of us, at the bar. And as Gary and I got ready to leave, John and I hugged cordially. I did lean into him and I whispered, "I love you." That night after I got home, I texted him with my usual text. No, I was not drunk. Not drunk texting. "I love you and I missed you. I miss you," I texted. The next morning, February 12th, 2018, at 5 a.m., I got a text. I picked up my phone and I saw that it was from him. I was so excited. Had he really gotten back to me? He had never done that before. Excitedly, I read the text, only to read that it was from his fiancée. And she ripped me a new one. Deservedly so, I know. She was right. She said I was rude and disrespectful. Disrespectful to her and to their relationship. And she called me a wacko. I've never been called a wacko before. Kind of made me chuckle. I texted her back, apologizing, sincerely apologizing. I really, really meant it. I told her she was right in telling me off, all except that I was not a wacko. That morning, I felt relief. I felt clear, and I felt ready. I sat up in my bed, and I told God, God, I'm ready for my husband. Send him to me now. Maybe I said, God, I'm ready for my husband. Send him to me now. That's how I said it. Remember, this was February 2018. This was the day that I manifested my husband. Yes, this was the day. 3 weeks later, I ran into a matchmaker friend of mine whose service I had been with for 7 years. I ran into her at a networking event. I won't say the name of her service, but it was the upscale version of It's Just Not Lunch, or It's Just Not Dinner. She said she had a client who she wanted me to meet, and she thought that we would hit it off and we would have a lot of fun together. And I said, is he a sharp dresser? She said, oh, you can always work on that. So I thought, okay, he's not. But she built him up really, really good. She said, he owns his own construction company. He has 2 grown sons. He's built some of the most iconic restaurants in the Denver area. Blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. I was still stuck on he's not a sharp dresser. But I said, okay, I'll meet him. 2 weeks later, March 15th, 2018, I met him. He knew what I looked like because paying members of that service get to look at photos and choose who they want to meet. Non-paying members like I was don't get that privilege. They just get sent out with a client. And then you're surprised as when you get to see your date. So I got to the restaurant, a very nice Italian restaurant. Really nice, actually. And I was the first to arrive. The hostess said he hadn't gotten there yet. So I did a lap through the bar, checking out the nicely dressed gentlemen, watching them check me out, because I did look kind of cute. And I came back and I waited near the hostess stand. Then I saw him. I saw him. I saw him walk across the parking lot, and I thought, that better not be him. I was pissed. And I said, effing matchmaker, she did it to me again. I was so mad. He was wearing cowboy boots, jeans, and a flannel shirt. And he had no eyebrows. I know, it sounds really mean. But that was my first impression of him. No eyebrows? Really? Flannel? So I thought, well, I'm a people person, so I'll make the best of it and enjoy the expensive drinks and a very nice dinner. After dinner, he offered to drive me home because I had taken an Uber there. We were actually there for quite a few hours, I think maybe 3 hours. Remember, I'm a people person, so I can talk to anyone. And he carried a good conversation and had a great sense of humor. So we had a nice date. So in the parking lot was pretty vacant as we walked out. And as we walked through the parking lot, there it was. Remember, he was driving me home. And there was his vehicle, a 1999 GMC lowrider pickup truck. Is that your truck? I asked. And he said, yeah, I came here straight from work. And I thought to myself, oh good, the luxury vehicle must be in the driveway, darling. Soon after that, I came to find out there was no luxury vehicle in the driveway. The 1999 GMC lowrider pickup truck was it. He did have a collection of vintage Volkswagens, though. So he drove me home and walked me to my door. And as I watched him walk away, I said, Lord, is that my husband? And God nudged me. And I said right away, I said, okay, I'm open. I'm open. During our first date, our first dinner, he had invited me to brunch the following Sunday. This was a Thursday. Our first date was a Thursday. So Sunday came around, and I didn't want to go. But I remembered my prayer for my husband. Well, I didn't want to go because I'd been doing chores, and I was ironing my sheets. Because everybody irons their sheets, right? Who doesn't like getting into bed with nice, starched, crispy sheets. So anyway, I remembered my prayer for my husband, and I got ready to go, and we went on date number 2. He picked me up in the lowrider pickup truck, and I was so embarrassed. My neighbors were used to seeing luxury vehicles come to get me to go on dates. Nope, there he was. 1999 GMC lowrider pickup truck. He took me to a construction project that he was working on, and it did cross my mind that maybe he could be a serial killer. But obviously he didn't kill me. Here I am to tell the story, live and kicking. So we went to a restaurant, one that he had built. We were there where we were actually given the VIP treatment because they knew him. It was casual, great food, and I think I'll mention it. It's called Root Down in the Highlands in the Denver area. So he invited me to go to dinner that following Tuesday, and I said yes. Glutton for punishment, you might be thinking? Maybe. We had a great date that night, and I realized that I liked him. I called my friend the matchmaker the next day and told her, there's something wrong with me. I like this guy. I want to cook for him. And she said, cook for him! So I did the next night. That next weekend, we went on a date, some bars in Boulder, and he was wearing a logoed shirt that said Cuñado Wear, or Cuñado Wear for my Spanish speakers. He told me all about it. The next day, I looked up what that logo was, or what Cuñado Wear was, and found some pictures of him and his friends on the internet. I saved the picture to my phone. I showed it to my kids, who they would not believe that he was my new boyfriend. It took me 2 weeks to convince them that he was. Same with my girlfriends. I showed them the photo and they said, no, no. I know, again, it sounds really mean. In that photo, he was wearing a white t-shirt, khaki pants, Vans, and a flat-billed hat. No sharp dresser, no silver fox, and definitely not 6'3". But I was head over heels in love by then, with him by then. Oh, I forgot to mention, the night after our third dinner, our third date, he spent the night. I know what you're thinking. He was such a slut, right? So he spent the night, and in the morning he told me, we should spend every night together. And I said, okay. And we did. And we have. We've spent every single night together, except for, occasional trips that we've gone to separately. But we've spent every night together. And today, February 12th, 2026, marks 8 years since the day I asked God for him. I moved in with him 2 months later, and I moved in 2 months after we met, and we got married 3 months after that. He checks almost every item on my list that I wanted. He's fun, funny, loving, kind, affectionate, supportive, super sweet, super nice, successful, generous, and he adores me. What I thought I wanted, a sharp dresser, classy, elegant, rich, older, silver fox, blue eyes, 6'3", he's not. But he's so much more. And he's 6 feet tall. And he does clean up really well. And he lets me dress him up when I need to. And ladies and gentlemen, you know how that is, right? I adore that man. I adore my husband, the Hubs. I said all of that to say that when we open our heart, when we are truly ready, love will come. Whether it's packaged in what we think we want or something different, something totally different, when we are truly ready, love will come. I had been dead set in the type of man that I thought that I wanted. Rich, older, blah, blah, blah. I was like so many of my dating coaching clients who have come to me. Oh, and not only that, but men, the people who I've dated, who have said that they have a list, 3-page list of what they want in a partner, what they think they want. And that's not ever going to happen. Nobody's ever going to check off 3 pages of must-have items on your list. And that's what Lady Hitch coaching is about. I used to have crooked teeth, short, permed hair, and wore huge, ridiculous glasses. I wore clothes that were too big on me. Not because I wanted to, but that's what I was made to be. And like I always say, nobody wants to date a worn out, beaten down ex. So I help men and women enhance themselves, prepare themselves, open themselves so that they may date successfully, intentionally, and find the last love of their life, just like I found mine. We all have qualities that make us attractive. We just need to bring them out. So please, if you got anything out of this, follow me on my socials. Follow me and subscribe to the Connie Hewitson Show. That way these episodes will be right in your queue when they drop. It's also one of the biggest things that you can do for me to support me and to help the success of my podcast. Please follow the show. Another thing you can do is share this with your friends, with everybody you know who is single. Lastly, find the confidence that's inside of you. So when you go and say that prayer, when you choose to manifest your soulmate, go for it. Mean it. One more thing. Now you have me. You have Connie Hewitson, Lady Hitch in your path, and I'll be there every single week, once or twice a week, helping you make that prayer, that wish, that manifestation into reality, helping you get ready to meet your soulmate, the last love of your life. Finding love is hard enough on your own, and I want to help you every step of the way. Let's do this thing called love together. One more thing, just like Columbo. Thank you. Today, February 12th, 2026, has been so special to me for 8 years. I want to know what your special date will be. And lastly, thank you for your support. Thank you for listening to this episode, and thank you for sharing it. So look for me on YouTube and any other podcast platforms. As I get the hang of this, they'll be on more. Now go out and be intentional in your dating. Be strategic about what you do and where you go. Love is waiting right around the corner, and I want to help you meet the last love of your life. Open your heart. You'll be happy you did. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and see you soon. Bye.